Hello and welcome to Daft as Puck on, Thursday the 10th of November. Hope you're all doing well. I am Matt. Hopefully I've turned my microphone on. Yes, I have done that before plenty of times. So I always like to check. Hope you're doing well. So yes, you will see if you're on the YouTube channel that I've been putting up various videos of late, doing some watch-alongs of Oilers games. Now the Oilers have been playing quite a few games this week. They were back-to-back Monday night and Tuesday night. So I was kind of watching them back, not live, at different times. I wasn't able to do sort of watch along videos, but I thought I would look at my notes. I've been keeping notes this week. I always keep notes of the NHL. So I thought I'd do a quick little 15-minute or so live stream, just rounded up some of the NHL news. If you're watching live, you can get in contact via the YouTube chat. I'm not expecting anyone to do so because, I haven't publicized it or anything, but you can do if you so wish. I can even put my ticker on. There we go. Down there. So there's the details. Send comments through via the YouTube chat, or you can contact on Twitter at Daft as Puck. So there we are. We are here. We are getting ready for some hockey news, and there's been plenty going on. Of course, we're now firmly in the swing of the season. I would say we've had a good, about a month, a little less than a month, really, but teams are starting to get their skates underneath them. We're starting to see some teams who we thought would come good start to come good. A few teams who we thought would come good, definitely not. And we are seeing a few teams who started brightly or had some nice patches early on, and they're kind of coming back down to the level where we pretty much thought they would be. But we shall have a look at all of the news. We will look at the standings and everything. And also look ahead to tonight's games because there's a few games on tonight. I think there are 10 games tonight, including the Oilers back in action against Carolina. But let's have a start by looking at some key injuries. And there have been a few, so I've just picked out a few that have kind of caught my eye. Now, of course, the one right at the top catches my eye because it was an Edmonton Oiler injury. But even if you're not an Oilers fan, you would have seen it, and it was horrific. An absolutely gruesome injury suffered by Evander Kane on Tuesday night against the Lightning. Freak accident, no question about that. He got bumped over, was lying on the ice, and unfortunately, who was it? Name escapes me. Someone went over him, didn't it? Pat Maroon. Sorry, Pat Maroon went over his wrist with his skate, and it was interesting watching it back. Actually, that on the slow mo, you saw him get up, and you saw almost Maroon sort of look at him as if to say, "Are you about to start a fight or something?" Which is, let's be honest, the sort of thing Kane would do. But he just went straight past, and you could tell he was right off the ice. And actually, I saw there was something on the ice. I thought, "What's that there? Is that just his stick? There's something else there." Of course, it was already a big pool of blood, unfortunately, because he was bleeding away. Lots of panic, lots of rushing around, paramedics, both Oilers staff, medical staff, and the Lightning's medical staff all jumping into action. Thankfully, they were able to stem the bleeding, took him to hospital, and he had surgery. I'm not sure precisely what they had to do. They don't really give those details out, do they? But so the good news is that he's going to be okay. I mean, it could have ended really, really badly, of course. So he will be okay, but he is going to be out for 3 to 4 months. And that is a big blow to the Oilers because Kane has come in, although he's not been fantastic so far this season. We all know what nuisance value he brings. He is a goal scorer, brings a lot of physicality. He's mainly been playing on a second line so far this season with Draisaitl, but he can add a lot to a team. And especially for a team like the Oilers, who are very much up against it with the salary cap, that causes some issues. So although Kane has been put on the long-term injured list, so potentially they will be able to get that kind of cap relief. There's not a lot you can do with it, really, is there? Because you're not going to fill someone with the money you save. You're not going to fill it with someone just as good as Kane. So they have made a couple of moves. As look at my notes, Gordon up Matthias Janmark and Clem Kostin. Both of them have been in the NHL before. So they're both okay, but they're kind of fourth liners, really. So that's a bit of an issue for the Oilers. They've already been playing down to sort of 11 attackers, 7 forwards. That really came back against the Lightning when we were down to 10, but they managed to find a way through. But Yeah, that does impact on Oilers, no question. Another player who is impacting things is the Colorado Rockies' Valeri Nichushkin. He's been their top goal scorer this season, or joint top goal scorer anyway, but unfortunately he has had to undergo ankle surgery, so he is out for about a month or so, it looks like. So that's not great news for the Rockies. Avalanche, I'm in Major League Baseball mindset at the moment for some reason. And then Detroit, well, yeah, there's a couple of dodgy ones here, isn't there? Because Philippe Sedina is out, and that's bad news. The news really has been that it's, although they expect it to be a couple of months, probably 6 to 8 weeks with a lower body injury. There was a comment something is broken. I don't know what is broken. They don't tend to give those details out, but the way they were talking was that they weren't entirely sure how long this would linger for, or how long the recovery would take. They're talking 6 to 8 weeks, but it's kind of they're going to have to see over the next couple of weeks how he's going, and then the next couple of weeks, and adjust their time frames from there. So that's an issue for them. And then it got worse. Just looking up my details. Here we go. So it got worse on. I was trying to think when it was. It was Tuesday night, wasn't it? The game between Detroit Red Wings and Montreal Canadiens. And unfortunately, Matt Luff got injured. Bit of a dodgy hit, it has to be said, by Slavkovsky of the Canadiens. He did get a major penalty and was a 2-game suspension he got as a result of it. But yeah, Matt Luff, unfortunately, is out for 10 to 12 weeks. He's going to have wrist surgery. Apparently, that's going to be scheduled for today. So he'll be out for a while, and that's a blow for them. That's a couple of good players out for Detroit. Talking about a couple of good players, obviously the New Jersey Devils are feeling it. Andre Palat, the big off-season addition, really. He is out for a while, probably about 10 weeks, I think. Let's have a look. Yes, it was 8 to 10 weeks following an injury, groin injury, so he's had surgery on that. So he is out for a while. And Mackenzie Blackwood has also had to go on the injured list. He's been filling in pretty well in net, but he has an MCL sprain, so he's out 3 to 6 weeks. He suffered that against Edmonton on November 3rd. So, yeah, issues there, unfortunately, for the Devils, but they have been playing very well of late, as we will come to when we look at the winning streak. So, they've been able to manage those injuries so far. So, yes, those are the key injuries to this point. And it is a difficulty for some of these teams, especially looking at the cap. Plenty of teams are kind of up against it with the cap at the moment. So, you're in a situation where players who are really important to your team are going to be out for a little while. And yes, they've got time to come back. But of course, the damage could be done by then. If people are out for 6 to 8 weeks, really could impact on what a team is going to do and any trades they may need to make, or if they even go the other way and trade players away because they think they may be out of it. But we know how competitive the NHL is and how much you can still get into the playoffs. And once you get there, you can go all the way. I mean, we saw that in Major League Baseball with the Philadelphia Phillies most recently getting all the way to the World Series. So if you're in it, you can win it. But there are a few players out injured now and a few teams getting not concerned, but a little bit of worry there that they may have some issues in terms of holding the fort until some key players get back on the ice. So there we go. Now, talking about back on the ice, there are some teams who are desperate to get back on the ice to try and stop losing streaks, and we can have a look at those guys. So let's start, in fact, with the one right at the bottom, because this is the good news with losing streaks is that at some point they will come to an end, won't they? And that happened for the Pittsburgh Penguins last night. They beat the Caps 4-1. Their first win in 8. Now, it's a bit difficult, this one, because the way the NHL officially records the losing streaks, they don't include the overtime losses, do they? So they were effectively seeing it as a 2-game losing streak because 3 games ago, they lost in overtime. But it was essentially 7 games without a win before heading into the one against the Washington Capitals on Wednesday. So they were able to get over that with a 4-1 victory. Deary me, look at those guys. So Ottawa Senators, not a big surprise that they're taking some lumps at the moment. Calgary Flames, more of a surprise. They certainly started the season very well, didn't they? And after the big shake-up over the off-season with players coming and going. But yeah, they're in a bit of a hole of late. Losing streak is down to 6. 3-2 loss to the Devils makes it 6 losses in a row, although 2 of those are, again, via overtime losses. So depends how you want to count them. But a team at the top, dearie me, team at the top, team at the bottom is the St. Louis Blues. And what a weird situation this is, because they won the first 3 games of the season. Everyone's really rosy, everyone's really happy, and now they've lost 8 in a row. They lost 5-1 in Philadelphia. That was last night, wasn't it? So that makes it 8 losses in a row. Tough times for the Blues. We know what quality they've got, but they are digging themselves quite a fair hole, aren't they? Now, the other side of streaks, the winning streaks. Let's have a look at those, if I can press the right button. There we go. So the Seattle Kraken, let's have a shout for the Kraken. 5 wins for them in a row. So they're coming along quite nicely. The New Jersey Devils, spoke about them earlier. A few injuries they're contending with, but they've got 7 wins in a row at the moment. They beat Calgary 3-2 the other day to extend that streak to 7. But look at the Vegas Golden Knights. They're top of the Pacific, and we'll look at the standings in a moment. And they are rocking and rolling. They beat the Toronto Maple Leafs 4-3 in Toronto. That was last night, to extend their run to 8 wins in a row, and going very nicely indeed for the shiny helmets. So there we are. Interesting stuff, and it is good to see some real competitiveness throughout the NHL. Obviously, there's always some teams who are struggling here and there, but yeah, nice to see particularly the Seattle Kraken finding a bit of form and finding a way to kind of get some wins on the board and get a bit of positivity about the team. I think last season was always going to be difficult. It's always difficult in that first year, but the Vegas Golden Knights really set the bar very high, almost unreasonably high. And nobody thought the Seattle Kraken would go on and have a real run to the Stanley Cup or anything last year. But I think there was a little bit of a downer to it all. So it's nice to see them picking up and getting some good early wins, really getting some positivity, getting the crowd on their side, and just getting the mood right for the season, that the Seattle Kraken are taking a step forward. Whether the playoff spots are going to be possible, hey, who knows? If they keep up this form, maybe it will be. But they're certainly giving themselves a chance to have a good first half to the season and then see where they are from there. So that's good news for them, and good news for the NHL to see the Seattle Kraken coming along nicely. So we'll take a very short break and then be back having a look at the standings. There we go. We are back, and we shall have a look at those standings. Here we go. So let's have a look at these. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just make that a bit bigger for myself. So the Metropolitan, the streaking New Jersey Devils lead the way, 10-3. Really good going by them. 20 points on the board from their 13 games. The Isles are really coming along too. 9-5 with 18 points. Carolina Hurricanes been a bit up and down, but yeah, they took the loss the other night. But Oilers have got them, so we'll see how we go from there. Philadelphia starting quite brightly, actually. New manager, of course, Tortorella in place. Head coach, sorry. Down the bottom, poor old Columbus, obviously Tortorella's former team, 3-9, really struggling to get anything going. And there was so much positivity with Johnny Hockey joining the Blue Jackets. But yeah, so far it's been a bit of a struggle for them. Meanwhile, in the Atlantic, Boston have been going really well. The Bruins doing fantastically to start this season, 11-2, 22 points. Look at Detroit. Nice to see them doing well. 7 wins, 3 losses, 3 overtime wins. So good for them, 17 points. Tied The Florida Panthers, who the Oilers will play on Saturday. And Toronto. So Toronto, that's been a big story, hasn't it? Look back to last week. Sheldon Keefe, their head coach, was under a lot of pressure. They've been able to get a few wins since then to kind of ease the angst and the panic in Toronto. But you do get the feeling, I don't know, there's just something underlying there that, yeah, you have a feeling that the drama could arise at any point. Yes. Buffalo, interesting Buffalo. They started off really well. They've hit a bit of a bad patch, to be fair. But there's still, when you look at them, I've seen a couple of their games recently. They played Tampa Bay recently, and I watched that before the Oilers played Tampa Bay. And Buffalo played pretty well in that. They've definitely, it's not just a bit of promise. They've definitely got some of those good young players coming through now and really starting to show that, yes, they hopefully will turn into really good NHL players in a year or so, but they're playing well now too, and they're definitely showing some good signs and positive signs. And it does feel like a bit with Seattle too, that times are looking up, things are looking up in Buffalo, and that's good to see. Meanwhile, let's move across to the west. And the Central Winnipeg Jets, look at them go, 8-3 with an overtime win. So 17 points for them from their 12 games. Dallas Stars level as well. The Avs has been a bit of a slow start for them, you have to say. They had the 2-game set in Finland, didn't they? So they've not played as many as the other teams, or most of the other teams anyway. So nobody's getting too worried about that. There's not really been much of a Stanley Cup hangover, that's for sure. Yes, they've got 4 losses, but they're generally ticking along okay at the start of their season. And they're going to come good as the season goes on. But unfortunately, look down there in bottom step, Lascelles Dwellers, St. Louis Blues. That is a shocker. Just 6 points. Worst record in the NHL. I think they're the worst record in the NHL. Oh, tied with Columbus. There we go. And then in the Pacific, so the 2 teams on winning streaks there, Vegas, 12-2. Incredible start for them, and Seattle really coming along nicely. They started 3-4. No, they had a couple of overtime wins, didn't they? But yes. Anyway, they've won 5 in a row, whichever way you slice it. They've got 18 points, and then there's a batch of teams there. San Jose and Anaheim, yeah, really struggling so far this season. And certainly with San Jose, you kind of expected that. Anaheim, the Ducks, I don't know. I certainly didn't think they would be going too far near the playoffs, but they seem to have hit a brick wall of some sort. And yeah, I'm not sure quite how far they'll recover, really. They've got some good players there, of course, so you would expect them to start picking up some wins here and there. But I do think they could be struggling to get above 7th place this season. There we are. And that is where the standings sit before Thursday night's games. And there are quite a few games tonight. In fact, 10 in total. So let's have a quick look at those before we leave us. Okay, so there we go. Going through them, Calgary at Boston. So the Flames trying to end their losing streak at 6. In Boston, that's going to be a tough test. The Oilers, come on, the Oil. They're up against Carolina on this trip across the East Coast. We had Washington, then Tampa Bay, Carolina tonight, and we've got Florida on Saturday. Ottawa at New Jersey. So there's a little one for you. The form book would say foregone conclusion. You've got the winning streak of 7 by the New Jersey Devils and 6 losses in a row for Ottawa. So foregone conclusion, New Jersey are going to win it. We all know that's not how sport works. So we'll see. Philadelphia at Columbus. So yeah, Columbus will be desperate to try and get a win. They desperately need to start getting some wins on the board. Tonight would be a good time to get that started. Buffalo. Ooh, he's a real test for that young Sabres team. Visit of the Vegas Golden Knights. So are the Sabres going to be the team that are going to stop the Vegas run at 8? Let's see. Then on the second column, Rangers at Detroit. Arizona at New York Islanders. Now, that's an interesting matchup from a point of view of the respective homes of the 2 teams currently. The Isles with their lovely new arena, UBS Arena, that opened a year ago. Arizona with their mullet place, which, I don't know. I mean, it's a bit of a shocking situation yet again. Arizona are in this situation, struggling to find a home or struggling to find someone prepared to chuck a load of money at them, at the very least. But there's kind of a little bit of a charm to their temporary digs in terms of that college feel, and it's a bit different, isn't it? It certainly looks good enough, and I know they're on a long road trip now. Whilst they, I think it's something like 14 games on the spin on the road, so that they can do some further improvements to the arena. But interesting to see. They will certainly like UBS Arena and the home comforts they will find it, even though they're not at home. Here we go, San Jose at St. Louis. So you've got to say the Blues have got a good chance to get that monkey off their back and to finally get a win tonight against San Jose. But if the Sharks are able to shock them, oof, where do we go there? Maybe the head coach may be in danger. Who knows? Nashville at Colorado. So that should be a good one. Nashville could do with picking up some results. Preds not quite firing on all cylinders at the moment. Avs will be excited to welcome them in and to try and get a win on the board. And then finally, the Chicago Blackhawks are in LA to take on the Kings. So there we are. That is all of the latest news and views and things going on in the NHL at the moment. So there's quite a few games coming up. Like I said, not just tonight, but over the weekend, and it should be really good. You know, there's so many good teams, so many teams that have a chance to push on and are doing okay right now, but you kind of think someone's going to catch fire. Of course, the Golden Knights have been a team that have done that alongside the Devils. But yes, you may see a few others starting to come good over the next couple of weeks. I'm hoping that the Oilers are going to be one of them. But of course, injury to Evander Kane and trying to settle the roster down could make it difficult for us, but we'll see. Anyway, there we go. That has caught you up with all of the NHL news. I'm planning to do one of these NHL live streams every week if I can, so sort of 20 minutes or so, and then doing at least one or two videos of the Oilers over the course of a week. So Oilers playing tonight, and then they're playing at 9 p.m. on Saturday in Florida. So I shall be doing some sort of watch along, and I'll be watching along, and I'll put it up on a video on the Sunday. So look out for that on the YouTube channel. If you're on the Twitter account and watching from there, hello, thank you for watching. Don't forget to cross over to YouTube, look up Daft as Puck, and then subscribe and hit the notification bell so you are aware of when we are going live. And I'll do my best to update the Twitter to let you know on there too. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. I am Matt. This is Daft as Puck. And now you are caught up on all of the NHL news. I'll see you very soon.